You all hear that? Okay, I want everybody to wave hello and let's get started. JM, this is new music. Can't sit still.
Welcome to the Creativity Show. A live hour, let it flow. Unscripted words in a velvet ring. Savvy minds on the line they bring. Producer and host in the glow. akaRadioRed, let's go. Tell me what it is that
Sparks your fire.
What keeps you moving
Higher and
higher? The Creativity Show.
there we go. Oh, I just started that a couple weeks ago. Jennifer, how do you like that? It's brand new. What do you think?
It's good. It's good. Yeah.
Okay, we got some dancing out of that one. I'm AKA Radio Red. Happy to be here. It is what? June 22nd already? I don't know where the year is going, but we're just reaching for July 4th any minute now. My supermarket was crowded yesterday on Father's Day, and I said to them, why? And they said, July 4th's coming up. Everybody's starting to prepare for their barbecues, and the big anniversary's coming up, and everybody's shopping already. So there we go. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This used to be Read My Lips, then it was the Creativity Show, and now it's the Creativity Spark. This is where I am every Monday afternoon with creatives. These three beautiful, very smart, very prolific ladies are my special guests. But before we start, I have to tell you all very important news. It's the 173rd day of the 2026 Gregorian calendar. 192 days are left, and it's the 26th Monday. I'm sure that's, Shamayne, very important for you. I'm positive. But what's more important, ladies, I hope you're all sitting down. It's Meryl Streep's 77th birthday today. Oh my good. I know. Where did the time go? Devil Wears Prada, Sochi's Choice, all those movies, wonderful. And Cyndi Lauper, Girls Just Wanna. I have somebody who tells me, please don't sing. She's 73, pink hair and all. Donald Faison, I don't know if you know him. He's on Scrubs and he was in Clueless. And a shout out to a gentleman who's no longer with us, Billy Wilder, filmmaker and writer. He produced and directed and probably wrote Some Like It Hot. Remember back in the old Jack Lemmon and Marilyn Monroe days, and The Apartment. He won 7 Oscars. Also, in case you haven't made dinner yet, this is important. It's Chocolate Eclair Day. It's Onion Ring Day. Shamayne, I'm getting a stomachache thinking of those together. It's Limoncello Day. You can wash it down. It's Stupid Guy Thing Day. Jordan Henson, I'm not talking about you, but tell your guy friends. It's Take Your Cat to Work Day. And Shakespeare said in Much Ado About Nothing, oh, what men dare do, what men may do, what men daily do, not knowing what they do. Even Shakespeare figured it out, and that was a long, long time ago. So welcome, welcome, welcome. I have some interesting news. We're done with that, and let's go to the introduction. I want to talk about my three very special guests, and we have to do a shout out to Mickey Mickelson of Creative Edge PR, who brought you all to me. He brings me lots of wonderful guests, and we appreciate you, Mickey. So there, we've done the shout out. Okay, here we go. I'm going to read a little opening. When I call your name, I want you to wave, and then I have a special something for each of you. So, welcome to the Creativity Spark Show, where real life stories alight. AKA Radio Red on her Scarlett Mic is streaming live and bright. The Uplifting of Creativity is our feature today, where compassion, resilience, and reinvention light the way. Shamayne, Olivia, say hello. There she is. TK, say hello. And JM, that's Jennifer, say hello. Creative voices sharing real life journeys with me and you. Hear how creativity has uplifted them year by year as passion and purpose became their mission clear. Okay, Shamayne, I have a gift for you, and I hope you like this. First born in Texas, Shamayne learned responsibility young. With 3 siblings after her, life's challenges had begun. Between 2 homes, she traveled searching for where she'd belong, yet faithful friends stood by her side, steadfast and lifelong. At college, she explored psychology and communications too, while questioning expectations and imagining something new. She raised 3 children with devotion, strength, and grace, then discovered her own dreams deserved their rightful place. Through life's transitions, she rebuilt one hopeful step at a time, journaling hard-won lessons that inspired her reason and rhyme. Her book, Shoes That Fit Her Soul, helps women rediscover their own role. Shamayne shares her journey helping others reclaim their own control. Shamayne, I hope you enjoyed that.
That was beautiful.
I'm glad.
I loved it.
Okay. I'm glad. And TK, you're next. Growing up in New Mexico, TK was the oldest of four. With journals, books, and stories to write, she always wanted more. Literature and creative writing she eagerly explored, while drama, choir, and color guard were what her spirit adored. She loved movies with friends and crafting new things by hand. Her imagination carried her to worlds both grand and planned. Drawn to healthcare and helping others, she chose a medical road, specializing in cardiac care where her compassion overflowed. Yet storytelling still called her TK, TK. And at last she answered the thrill, creating Unveiled, where suspense and healing meet with her pen's skill. Through matters of the heart, her characters reveal what's true. Her storytelling will keep your pulse racing and safely do it too. TK, I hope you enjoyed that. I put that safely in there because of your field of expertise. I had to, okay? I hope you enjoyed that.
I loved it. Thank you.
I'm glad you're welcome. And Jennifer's been on so many times, and I put you laugh. Just I loved you just as much as the other ladies, but I figured they were here their first time, so we give them a shot first and second. Here we go. Raised in Alberta, the eldest of five and only girl, writing stories on mom's typewriter let her imagination unfurl. Though purchased for homework, that faithful machine saw another stage as fictional worlds and daring adventures filled page after page after page. Her mother shared grammar lessons and critiques candid and wise, helping Jennifer sharpen her craft so her confidence would rise. She studied education, then healthcare joined her plan. Writing remained the steady thread, though, in each chapter she began. Now her fantasy worlds explore belonging, resilience, and grace, with characters seeking purpose while discovering their rightful place. Jennifer's stories post this challenge, what if? And then set free the magic of imagination and all we're each meant to be. Jennifer, I hope you like that.
That's lovely. I really do like that.
I'm glad. I was waiting. I was holding my breath. Okay, who's our cardiac specialist? You know, you're on call now. So gather around where the cool kids and the cool vibes sway. You got to sway with me as we dive deep into the creative spark today. AKA Radio Red's energy lights the way. We hope to inspire you to live large, love life, and play. So, ladies, how did I do? What'd you think? Oh, good.
Wonderful.
Thank
I
you
love
very
it.
much.
I did two
Okay.
thumbs.
I'm happy to do that. I enjoy taking this is why I ask for an origin story instead of your little 3 or 4 sentence media bio. I want to know more about you. I want my audience to know who you are as people, not just who you are on the front of everything you do. I want to go behind the scenes, and that's why I use it. So there you go. Shamayne, I met you, what, about 22 minutes ago. I'm happy to have you here. I
Thank,
love the glasses, by the way. If you
thank
weren't so
you.
well, you're in Texas, right?
Yes,
Okay,
Austin.
I could. I'm a couple hours away. I could come and borrow your glasses, maybe. I
Sure,
don't know.
I have an extra
Anyway,
pair.
thank you. I'll take them. Okay, I'm putting you on speaker view, and we'd like to know a little bit more about you. So why don't you connect some of those dots in the intro I did, and just tell us a little bit more. You're welcome.
Sure. Well, thank you. I was the oldest of four at one time, and now the oldest of six. My parents remarried when I was eight, or when I was, yeah, after I was, they divorced when I was eight. Um, I have been in the Austin area since I went to college in 1980, and that'll give you an idea of how old I am. I never thought I would be a writer. I was more concerned with getting my life in order. And it just so happened that the journals that I wrote, people would hear some of my stories and ask, when's the book coming out? And so I thought maybe I do have a message here. And my story is really about once I hit midlife, I discovered who I was not. I was not who I wanted to be. And things started crumbling for me around that time. And my marriage fell apart. I lost my job. I had 3 kids to raise. And a few years after that, my first husband was killed in an accident. And so it was just, it felt like one thing after another. And I looked at my life and I thought, what are you going to do with the rest of your life? Are you going to live the way you've been living, which is just living by other people's standards, other people's, you know, creating the person that they wanted me to be? And I was just going along with that. And I realized, no, I'm not happy. I want to become someone else. I want to become the person I was meant to be. And that's what started the whole journey of really rediscovering and reclaiming my identity. And when I got to a certain point, I decided I want other women to know this story because I know that when I started it, I was not sure where to start. I didn't know where to begin. I didn't know who to turn to. And I couldn't find books in the bookstores that would guide me. They were all about, well, this is why you are who you are. This is why you became this way. And I'm like, okay, so how do I change? And anyway, that's kind of where it all ended up, was that I was at a place in my life where I felt like I wanted to be more. I wanted my kids to see someone else. If I didn't know myself, they didn't know me either. So I wanted to make sure that I could leave a legacy for them. And
Thank,
that's how I began writing.
thank you. Question. Shoes, the first word in the title of your book. How important are shoes to you and how did they make it into the title? I think everybody wants to know. Are you wearing special shoes today, Shamayne? I had to ask.
Do I have to tell the truth? Because I'm in my slippers today.
I'm barefoot, hun, so it's okay.
Okay.
How
Um,
did shoes get in the title? Just briefly tell us,
well,
please.
just briefly, the shoe title came after I've created the framework, and the framework came from a dream. And it was a dream about when I was trying to figure things out, I had a dream about forgetting my shoes. And when I woke up, I thought, wow, that was so significant because the dream was very vivid. And I thought, that must be a message for me. And not long after I got up, I heard the words, you're going to teach women to find their shoes for their journey. And then the shoes came apart, and the 8 components of the shoe aligned with the 8 elements that we need within ourselves to find
That's
our
lovely.
voice.
That's
Thank you.
creative. That is very,
Thank you.
very creative. Thank you for answering that. I
Mhm.
appreciate it. Okay, let's go around the table. TK, you are brand new to the show. I'm also delighted to meet you. I'm putting you on speaker view, and why don't you connect some of your dots for us? Go ahead.
Sure. Well, I actually have been writing my whole life, as you said in your wonderful poem. I love it, by the way, again. And I just decided that the thing about me is that my creativity's always been there since I was very young. And for me, I've gone through so many different things in my youth, in my childhood, and going up. And it was a lot easier for me to kind of mask those things through, storytelling, through my imagination, instead of coming right out and speaking about them or journaling about them. And it kind of felt easier to deal with those things by creating characters that, dealt with those things differently. And that way I could kind of, you know, put my own spin into how I would handle these different situations. And then the medical field kind of came along and I just kind of combined it all together and, with the suspense and the just being the reality of the medical field and, relationship drama and things from the past. And I just kind of tie them all together. And that's kind of how it's been most of my life.
Very interesting. Connecting the dots, tying the threads together, wrapping things up, hoping they
Yeah.
come into some kind of cohesive something we can live with.
Mm.
What's the title of your book, TK?
It is called Unveiled. It's like a
Right.
psychological thriller. Mhm.
Mm.
Okay. And just give us a clue. Psychological, you have a lead character? Is there
I do.
a girl in the story? I want to know.
Of course, of course.
Okay. What's her
But
name?
yeah, my main character's name is Tessa, and it starts with a T like mine, but there was no correlation. The name just kind of came to me when I started writing the book. And she has some things from her background, relationship issues that she went through, and she actually ends up with amnesia. And there was an accident that happened that kind of gives her a reset on her life. So she's created this career, this life that everything's tied up in this nice, neat little bow. And then her past comes to remind her that it is not hidden anymore. So now she has to confront her past to keep her future intact.
Very well put. Is there going to be a series?
That I have had that question asked multiple times. I
I
have
bet.
left it. I've left it open that it's
Okay,
possible. It does have a closed ending, but there's possibility. I do have the notes to continue it if I wanted to.
good. And when is the book coming out?
It comes out October 6th.
Okay, okay. The day before my birthday. You can
Oh,
send me
okay. Sounds
Okay,
good. I'll put it on my
thank you.
calendar.
Jennifer J.M. Shaw, always delighted to have you back. Mickey says, you have a spot for JM. I said, of course, I always do. Welcome back. Let's pretend this is your first time on the show. That's why I started with your origin opening with I don't call them poems, I call them rhyming introductions, because I do write poetry and that's not what I write. So, JM, why don't you pretend that nobody has met you in the audience and just give us all of those connections and start with who you are. And welcome back.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I'm a mom of two boys. I'm a wife. I'm again, the oldest of five kids. I've got four younger brothers, and I thought my sole purpose in life was to babysit, and I made them pay. Um, I started writing 35 plus years ago, and I started out just watching people. I was trying to figure out, I was very introverted, trying to figure out how to fit in, trying to figure out how to make friends, trying to figure out how to socialize, and everything seemed so very confusing. So I started people watching, and but that only told me what people were doing. It didn't tell me why. So because I was unable to dive into people's heads, I created fictional characters and stories and dove into their heads and live vicariously through them, experiencing the emotions that I was going through at the time. So if I was sad, I'd put them in a sad situation. If I was angry, I'd put them in an angry situation, and just kind of like live through those emotions through my characters in a controlled environment. And so I did that for many, many years, never sharing my stories. And then in 2019, I was diagnosed with autism and ADHD, and then later dyslexia. And I started to think, as I, got over the shock and I started to reevaluate my life and I started to learn a little bit more about it, I started to think maybe writing is my special interest. So I had finished a manuscript, which is the first book in my series. And I decided I'm going to get brave. I'm going to send it to an editor because the worst they can say is it sucks. And they came back and they said, that doesn't suck. You should publish. So 2 years later, I did. And now I've published the first four books in my series and working on the fifth.
Tell us the title of the series and who are your recurring characters and your favorite character, please.
So I didn't name my series. I just named the books, but everybody's calling it the Callum Walker series. So I'm like, yeah, that sounds good. My first book's The Ascension, and then there's The Convergence, and then there's The Fractured Veil, and my fourth book is Forsaken Souls. And my main character, Callum Walker, is the protagonist who we follow him through this journey, trying to figure out where he belongs, who he is, and master his abilities to survive.
I like the way you described that you wanted to know the why of other people, but you had your own challenges, shall we say, your own scenarios in your own life. So what you were feeling and wondering, you put your characters into. I haven't heard it. It's probably maybe very common for authors of fantasy, I'll call it fiction, to do that, but I hadn't heard anybody say it quite that way. Thank you. That was a new statement on this show. And I talk to a couple hundred people a year, so it takes a lot to be new and say something fresh. I appreciate that. Thank you, ladies, for the show's over. No, we're just getting started here. So let's go to the part where TK and Shamayne are saying, what? I did all that work. I said all that stuff and we're done. No, we're not done. Okay. Somebody's watching us. Let's wave hello to whoever. We got one person. Where are they watching us on which channel? They're watching us on on one of my YouTube channels. That's unusual. Okay, welcome to my YouTube channel. So let's go to the opening quotes. I've asked each of you to send me a fictional quote, either from a song, which isn't always fictional, or a movie or a TV character. And we're going to start out with Shamayne. Want me to call you Shamayne or Shamayne Olivia? What's your preference?
Shamayne is fine.
Shamayne, okay. Is there a history to that name? Does that something in the family or?
Oh, it's a long story. Oh, Shamayne is came from the movie El Cid with Sophia Loren and Charlton Heston, and she's a true character. She's a true person from Spain, and but they liked the way he said her name, and so they wrote it down the way it sounded, and that's how I got my name.
I love it. I love it. I had to ask. Okay, so you've sent a quote from, interestingly enough, not from the movie El Cid. Charleston Heston is as fabulous as he was. I've seen pictures, of course. You've sent a quote from The Logical Song by the British rock group Supertramp from 1979. This was their most successful hit in the UK, #7, and it hit #6 in the US charts. It was released as the lead single from their album Breakfast in America. What an interesting album title for a British group. Written by Roger Hodgson, the track is a semi-autobiographical critique of the British education system and the loss of childhood innocence. We're just going to leave it there. Okay, and here is the quote, and it may seem very familiar, and I promise I won't try to sing. There are times when all the world's asleep, the questions run too deep. For such a simple man, won't you please tell me what we've learned? I know it sounds absurd. Please tell me who I am. Ooh, that's deep. Okay, Jennifer, talking about finding where you are and putting yourself in. And this is what he did. He went through the school system and he wasn't very happy with it. So that's how he wrote the lyrics. Shamayne, I'm coming back to you. Why don't you tell us a little bit about why you picked this and what it has to do with your creativity? Go ahead.
Well, it was a song that was when I was in high school that I really liked. But as I got older and listened to the lyrics, and as I was going through transformation and changing, it started to really resonate with me. And I thought he spoke to exactly how I felt going through those changes. And I thought I remember thinking, gosh, some of these artists really know what they're saying. They really know what they're talking about. And there are many other songs where I've picked up on lyrics like that. So with my creativity, it's just because it aligns well with my own journey of rediscovering and recognizing that I was taught several things in my life that as I grew into an adult, I really didn't believe. And so I needed to know, who am I? Who am I?
Interesting. It is quite an interesting song. And as I was reading the lyrics and researching it, I realized I knew the song quite well. So thank you. Interesting. Okay, let's go to TK's quote. And this is from a movie. The movie is The Lion King, Disney's original 1994 animated musical drama film. And the character Rafiki is voiced by the late wonderful actor Robert Guillaume. And he voiced the wise old mandrill Rafiki, bringing the shamanistic character to life with his own distinctive voice. He used different accents, including a Jamaican accent, to create a unique sound for Rafiki. The movie was produced by Walt Disney Feature Animation. Voices in the movie this is quite a list: Matthew Broderick, James Earl Jones, Jeremy Irons, Jonathan Taylor Thomas. I don't know who Moira Kelly is, Nikita Com, Nathan Lane, Ernie Sabella, Whoopi Goldberg, Cheech Marin, Rowan Atkinson, that's Mr. Bean, and Robert Guillaume. Story follows a young lion prince named Simba, who is exiled from his kingdom after his father Mustafa is murdered by his uncle Scar. I always thought that name was interesting, who plans to seize the throne. We'll leave it there. And this is a very popular quote, TK. I have about 5 guests a year pick this quote, and one is coming up in about 2 months, and they picked it too, and I love it. Here's the quote. Oh, yes, the past can hurt, but you can either run from it or learn from it. Okay, TK, your turn. Rescue me. How does this have to do with your creativity? Go ahead.
It's actually the whole theme behind my brand and what I'm passionate about not just in relationships, but just in life in general. And each one of us has a journey through life, and our past can affect how we go forward. And even in the stories that I create, when my characters, they deal with their past in some way, shape, or form, and just that healing and forgiveness and moving on and being able to find the grace to forgive. And there's a lot of pain that can come from that past, and I think that we each have a choice how we move forward. And so that quote not only resonated with me just because I love the movie, I love lions, I love wildcats, but just it's just so perfect in saying that that hurt, the past can hurt, but you can learn from it, and learning from it is what helps healing, what helps you to heal and move forward.
Thank you very much. Very well put. We got a lot of philosophy here today. I appreciate that. Sometimes I get very deep quotes, and sometimes I get really fun quotes, or I get fun quotes that end up with deep explanations. Okay, Jennifer, let's go to yours. This is a character named Anton Ego. voiced by Peter O'Toole. The movie is Ratatouille, or Ratatouille, as you may prefer, 2007 animated comedy drama film written and directed by Bird, story by Jan Pinkava, blah, blah, blah. Three more people from Pixar Animation Studios for Walt Disney Pictures. The stars the voices of Patton Oswalt. Here's another list. Lou Romano, Ian Holm, Jeanne Garofalo, Peter O'Toole, Brian Dennehy, Peter Son, and Brad Garrett. Brad Garrett, one of my favorites. What a voice that guy has. The title refers to the French dish ratatouille and the species of the main character, a rat. Okay, we'll leave it there. And here is the quote you have picked. This is interesting. Not everyone can become a great artist, but a great artist can come from anywhere. I've never heard that quote from the movie. Okay, Jennifer, tell us more. How'd you find this one and what does it mean for you?
It just kind of relates to my life. Like I remember writing for so many years thinking, oh, I wish I could be a published author, but it's never going to happen to me. And I remember that dream. And I just got to that point in my life where, I'm going to make it happen. I firmly believe that if I can do it, so can anybody else.
Tell me more. Come on, tell me more. I want more.
I don't think that you need any, I don't think you need to come from privilege. I don't think you need to have money. I don't think that you need to have a certain education to be a creator of any kind, whether you're writing, painting, well, sculpting. I mean, obviously, got to have some money to get the resources and stuff. But I don't think you need to be famous to do something great. And it makes me wonder how many diamonds in the rough are out there that just need that spark, just need that push, and they can become great. I used to say, I don't like the word marketing, so I call it telling the world I exist. It puts me in the right frame of mind. And then I tell people and they say, oh, that's a good idea. I said, yeah. And, if I don't tell the world I exist, if I could have, the best written book, I'm not saying mine is, but if nobody knows it's there, nobody's ever going to read it. And if you don't put yourself out there, nobody's ever going to see you.
This is true. And I'll tell you a funny story. You may not know this yet, Jennifer. I know the other two ladies don't. On January 1st of this year, I decided to start a brand new series, and it's called Say What? Good News with Bonnie D, my other name. And I do it 5 days a week, live streaming, and it's about 4.5 minutes a day. And I look for interesting stories that are off the beaten path. No doom and gloom, no AI, no politics, no religion, no war, none of that, no headlines. I have my own headlines. And I'm always searching for interesting stories that most people would never heard of. So today's Say What? And it's one of the joys of my life, Jennifer. I get every morning right around 8:30 Eastern time. I go on, I set everything up. I have special music. I have a special background I created, and I do it without looking at the clock, and I can do it most days under 4.5 minutes, Shamayne, without even looking at the timer. I've got it down to about that. I went over 5 minutes and 9 seconds the other day. I was very ashamed. Anyway, because I tell people it's 4 minutes, but it's a lot of fun, and I'll play the outro music for you later. I had to make my own mug because this was from my TV show in New York, something to talk about, and I didn't have time to get. So Say What? Good news. There you go. So what I'm telling you this for, Jennifer, talking about a diamond in the rough, there's a gentleman who has been a priest in a 15th century church in Greece, and he bought a fretless electric guitar. And he started playing it. And for some unknown reason, about a year ago, he released 150 cassettes of his playing, and he uses old-fashioned musical instruments made from gourds, and he has bird sounds and other things, and he released the 150 cassettes sold. And an editor from, I think Pitchfork is a music magazine, found it and said, rescue this from the garage sale pile. This guy's got talent. A producer approached him, and they're making a CD that's coming out this summer. And it's a combination of, they say it's electronic beats, and it's music sounds, and it's animal sounds, and it's this liturgical droned on music sound, and it's stuff that nobody's ever heard of. And this guy's got a beard down here, and he's sitting in a room playing his electric guitar. And he was one of my featured stories today. And when you're talking about an artist can come from anywhere. I thought, and by the way, his wife is the only one who's ever heard him play live. And she says, would you please stop making that noise? And it's quoted in the article. And he's going to be playing at a music festival in Philadelphia. He's coming to Philadelphia this summer to play his music. And people are saying, wow, we know where he's been the past 30 years, but we didn't know he was going to bring this kind. They say it's really weird. He actually reads psalms over certain kinds of music too, and he has a YouTube channel. Uh, it's hard to believe, but talking about that. So I digress, but I wanted to share that with you because that was on my show this morning. I'll send you all the link to the show. So ladies, great to have the quotes. I appreciate it. Let's go to the roundtable now. We are just really ahead of time here. This is going lovely. I'm going to start with reading two creativity statements from Shamayne, and we're going to turn this into a roundtable. Here's how it's going to work. You don't have to find your notes. I like your 2 and 3 statements. I'll read them. I'm going to ask you to unpack them, Shamayne. Just give us a little more information about what they mean. Just, just be yourself. And then I'm going to go get the camera off of you and go back to the full screen of everybody. And I'm going to ask Jennifer and TK to comment. Did this resonate with you? Do you like what she said? Do you say, no, that's not me. I would never do that. It doesn't matter. It's just a conversation. So Shamayne started out with creativity 2 and 3. Here we go. I am most creative in the early morning hours when I wake up in the dark and it's quiet in the world. I hear that a lot. And then I'm going to add your statement number 3. My bedroom is my safe space where I feel most comfortable to write and reflect. So Shamayne, I'm putting you back on speaker view. Will you please tell us a little bit about, is there a special place in the bedroom and what time of the day is dark and does it change with the seasons? Come on, give me some schmaltz here on this stuff. Talk to me.
So the morning, I usually wake up, and I don't know if this has been just in the last couple of years, it's probably over the last decade. I wake up around 4 a.m. And at 4 a.m. to get back to sleep, ideas are just swimming in my head. And I used to, while I was still writing the book, I had an iPad next to my nightstand where I would just start typing because I had these great ideas, I thought, and I wanted not to lose them by the time I woke up later. Yeah, it's 4 a.m. and it's quiet. The world is quiet at that time. And nobody else is up, nobody's doing anything, and I just have time to process things. But I never get out of bed. I just stay in bed and do that and then go back to sleep. And then why my bed? I don't know, but that is where it is. I'm not sitting in a chair. I'm not sitting in a window or anything like that. I'm sitting actually on my bed and I just feel comfortable. And then there was a time I thought I was lazy about it. And then I heard Barbara Streisand did the same thing. She wrote a huge book recently and she did it all from her bed. And I thought, well, good. I'm in good company.
You're in very good company. Isn't that, I keep going back to your quote, Jennifer, but it can come from anywhere, anybody's bed. I've never heard anybody, listen, I talk to a lot of people all year long, year in and year. I've never heard anybody say it quite that way. Recently, people have been telling me they get their inspirational stories when they're in the shower. I get a lot of water, and I've researched that. And there is the white noise of the shower, the warm temperature. Apparently, it releases the mind from no distractions and all that. But I've never heard that, and I'll tell you about what I later on. Jennifer, comments on what Shamayne and then TK. What do you think, Jennifer? Anything resonate with you? The time of day, the night, iPad, anything?
Yeah, I can't write at 4 in the morning. I'm conked out. But I do write in the morning. That's when I do my best time after the kids have gone to school and my husband's. I have sat on my bed and done writing, and as long as I can lock the door so nobody's coming in and bothering me. But I tend to hyper focus and I'll forget that the whole world exists and I'll sit on my bed for hours and then I'll end up with a backache. So I do have to get up and move, and I usually start on my bed and then I move to my desk and then I'm in my couch in the living room and then I'm at the table and then I'm outside under the gazebo and then, yeah, all over the place. But the bed is definitely a good center to start.
Do you need some decorative pillows? I think we can find some. I have some. I'll chip in some.
I need a firmer mattress, I think.
Do you know what they call I don't know if you know. They used to have these, like a bolster you would buy with arms on it that you would sit on in bed. You know what they call those? I think it's called a husband. I mean, seriously. I think that's what it was called. I'm not joking. I'll have to look it up. I hope I didn't commit any terrible misdeeds here. Before I get in too much trouble, TK, what do you think about bed, writing, tablet, laptop, dark, people gone, nobody awake, or everybody gone out to do something? What do you think, TK? Does this resonate with you?
Yeah, actually it does. Because I do wake up at sometimes I wake up earlier than 4 a.m. Sometimes it could be like 2, 3, but um, usually if it's at that time, I'm going back to sleep. I'm not I'm not getting up. But those ideas, they do come a lot of times from dreams even. I will wake up and have, I mean, I have bizarre dreams all the time. It's just it's insane some of the dreams I have. And I will wake up in the morning and I want to start writing. And actually, I'm impressed that you're able to get up and write that down, Shamayne. I'm working on doing that. Keeping, I'll have a notebook by the bed, but that urge to go back to sleep kind of kicks in, and it's a little bit more powerful sometimes. But that is when I do get a lot of my ideas at waking up at that time. I also get a lot of my ideas when I'm busy, I've noticed, which is really strange and kind of annoying sometimes, because when I have nothing going on and I'm just kind of sitting there staring at the laptop and nothing's coming. But if I'm scrubbed into a procedure, or, at work, or, the kids are, talking to me, or my husband's talking to me, or I'm busy, or in Walmart, but it's going nuts. And I'm like, I don't have paper. I don't have, or I'll try to put stuff in my phone, the phone notes. And I will come up with a lot of stuff. And then I go into my office and sit down and nothing. So I haven't worked out exactly like how to get that all kind of on the same page, but I definitely do get that inspiration at those early times of the morning.
I'm going to read you a quote from somebody famous at the end of the show about what to do with those notes. But I used to keep pad and paper by my bed. Shamayne, we're not talking about ages or years here, my dear. But when I was in high school, if I love math. I love working problems out. Sometimes I went to bed and I hadn't figured it out. It happened on occasion. I remember this, although nobody in my family's around to verify whether I'm making this up or not. I would wake up in the middle of the night and put the answer down on a pad of paper and then go back to sleep. And it was time for school, and I'd read it, I'd bring it in, and it was the right answer. So the mind is working. It's definitely working. Very, very interesting. I keep my iPad next to the bed, and I am playing Words with Friends, and that's my sleeping pill at night. If I have enough energy to still be awake when I get in bed, and I have a lot of pillows behind me, and I have a beautiful canopy, this kind of filmy thing I bought online, and it's white, and it just makes the room very pretty. And my point is that I'm playing Words with Friends with 5 people around the world, people I will never meet. And I have a woman in the UK named Lynn, and I have 28 games with her. And I have a really cute guy in Southern California named Jason, who, and he has a beard now and a hat, but he did in the beginning. He looks very different. And we have 9 games, and I have somebody named Maddie the Great, and then I have somebody named Jack, J-A-C, I think it's Jacqueline, and I have one other person. And I can sometimes have 45 games ready to play at night, and I do them until I look up words. I do have a lookup feature app that I use to find out, and I learned vocabulary that way. But I haven't written on my iPad. I haven't opened up any apps to actually write anything. And TK, I was going to suggest that if you're somewhere and you need to capture an idea and you don't have a pen and paper, there must be a voice recording app on your phone, or just click on video and just record yourself. Hi, it's such and such. There's 15 people ahead of me on the line at Walmart, but I have an idea for a story. Talk to you later. And just send yourself a video.
That's not a bad idea, actually.
You don't want to let it go, or just voice recorder. Just put it up. Nobody. Oh, I'm checking messages. Yeah, I have an idea. There's 3 more books, and nobody will even know. So you use it to your advantage. So thank you very much. Thank you, Shamayne. Now we know how the roundtable works very, very well. Yes, Jennifer, go.
I interviewed somebody on a show that I co-host, and he wrote an entire book by transcribing it. He had a 3-hour commute every day, and he would transcribe it as he's driving and then just write it down later.
What do you mean by transcribe it? Tell us. What did he do?
He would record his voice, and he would speak it, and then he would type it when he got home.
That's why I asked my authors, I got to put some lights on it here. That's why I would ask my authors, do you use handwriting? Do you dictate? Do you use a keyboard? Do you use journaling? Do you use sticky notes? Because, I sign up for a lot of author webinars. I'm still writing my novel, my novella, and I decided I was ready to finish it. And then I went into the middle of it and I decided there's more stories I need to add. So I'm back in the writing. It's only been 3 years, but that's probably not unusual. Why was I telling you this? I have no idea. Anyway, the point was that I can't remember. Anyway, we want to just get those things going. So yes, yes, yes. Jennifer, tell me what you just said, please.
So,
Voice recording.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So I attended an author webinar where she was talking about keeping your phone and dictating everything. And she said she keeps it in her pocket. And when she's cooking, let's say she's making a roast and having company or a cake, she'll take out her phone. And she said, before she even knows it, TK, she has written basically 20 pages worth of text into her phone just by talking. And then she was going to tell everybody how she transcribes it, Shamayne, and what she does with it. And then you had to pay for the rest of the webinar. I didn't stay for that. I'm sorry. So anyway, I'm sorry about that. I've got so many thoughts going on in my head. I need to record this. Okay, let's move on. Thank you very much. Writing, interesting. Okay, let's go to TK. I've got two of your statements I like, and I'm just going to read these and we'll unpack them. So you say, when I'm creating a story, I like to go out and people watch. I watch how people react in different situations. If I'm unavailable, unable to venture out, I watch movies or reality shows. It helps me create realistic situations and characters. I have never quite heard that put quite that way. Now, here's another one. You say, when I think of a story idea, it begins to take shape in my mind. The characters are setting the plot. I get excited. It's like a life is being born, watching it nurture and grow. Even through the struggle of writer's block, distractions, imposter syndrome, the possibility of it reaching its potential keeps me coming back for more and more and more and wanting to create many more stories. I love that. Beautifully put. TK, why don't you do a little unpacking and we'll see what the other ladies have to say. Go ahead.
Sure. I've always, I was always kind of doing the people watching thing. I just didn't really realize I was doing it until much later in life. I just thought, God, I got to stop staring at people. They're going to think I'm a little strange. And I actually had a good friend of mine. We kind of made a game of it in our young 20s. And, we would go out to wherever we would go out, we'll leave that there. But, and kind of watch people, from a distance and, you can't really hear them, but you can kind of see their body language and what they're doing and the faces they're making. And we would talk as if we were them and make up things that they would, they could possibly be saying. And so it was this running game we had going on. But as I started to kind of dive into really character developing, that's when I noticed I was really starting to kind of watch how people were acting. If I'd go out to dinner or just being in the store and just, kind of doing that same watching to see how people react, just how they react. And when I don't go out, I can't stand reality shows. I'm just, I really can't. But I did notice that if I start watching one, like if someone else is watching them, I would kind of get sucked in. And I realized it wasn't necessarily because of the drama, because I think that was kind of the part I don't really enjoy, but just kind of picking out how people react to different things. And even in movies, when I watch movies, I get kind of drawn into the storyline, but I also get drawn in kind of like, on a parallel basis, I think about the actors and the actresses themselves and like what their lives could be, and how they are outside of, them being the characters. It's interesting how I can multitask and do that and still get into the movie. But I noticed in my writing, I think about that when I'm creating these characters and I say, okay, well, I can picture them. It's kind of hard to explain, but I can see it kind of taking place in my mind when I'm writing it or when I'm creating like their lifestyles, their backstories. And sometimes I have to slow myself down because I will go off on a mental tangent into these characters' lives. And I go, wait, I need to be writing this down. I'm just daydreaming about their lives. And so it just kind of goes from there. And I think that's the funnest part, is just getting to know these people. And when I say watching, like a life being born, it really is, because, as you write these characters, you develop them only so much, but as the stories go on, they grow and they surprise me even. And, and the other ladies can speak to this probably, that you watch them grow and you think about them even when you're not writing, like, well, I wonder what they're going to do, because sometimes these characters do things that you don't know they're going to do. And I think it's something only like creatives and writers can understand. So that's kind of, the fun
Yes.
part and all of that. Yeah.
I wrote a romantic comedy play around 8 years ago, and I wrote it from 1 to 4 in the morning in 3 nights. It was done, and the characters told me everything about themselves,
Yeah.
who they were, what they looked like. They met on a dating site. They were in a cab going to dinner in New York City, and we did it in my TV studio. I can send you all the link. I have it on
Nice.
Vimeo. It's 26 minutes long. We had to edit it down, but they just channeled, they told me, I picked the man, the woman, and the cab driver, and they just told me, this is what I'm saying to him. I got in the cab first. She got in the, it said, this is what she's wearing. This was in her purse. This was how he reacted. This is where they're going for dinner. This was his backstory. They just, 3 nights, I wrote the whole thing. I wasn't even, I was just listening.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying. How
It's
did
the
they?
most bizarre thing. It's almost like they're, like you said, they're telling you and you're just typing it out.
They did. They did. So let's go around the table. Shamayne, any comments about what TK shared about the ideas coming from
Well,
everywhere?
I'm a people watcher too. I love to
Hmm.
people watch. And when I was creating my framework for the shoe, and I'm a speaker and a facilitator, so I'm not just always writing, I'm also talking to people about my framework of the shoe. And I realized that, a lot of times when I people watch, I will look at their shoes. So they're either coming or going, and how do you know? Well, look at their shoes. They might tell you like they're about to go for a run, or they're going to a business meeting, or they're a doctor or a nurse because of the shoes they're wearing. And so I put that into the book, and then I did a little bit of research about people watching, and I learned that people watching also helps us with empathy. Because if we're watching people and if you're paying attention to how they may look as far as their body movements and their faces, you might be able to start to feel for them and put yourself in their shoes. So I love the
Walk,
people watching.
walk a mile in my shoes. We all know that one. Jennifer, briefly, I want to go to your creativity, but Jennifer, what do you think?
I felt the connection to everything you said. I watch my movies play out like a video on my head. I love going off on those tangents because, my characters are driving and I'm along for the ride, and they'll either take me somewhere where I'm like, wow, that came out of my head, or I'm like, what is wrong with me? That came out of my head. But I do like with the people watching, because that's what I started out. I was writing my own script to get along, to figure out how to communicate with people. And I think that helped me to become better at writing dialogue, because I would watch people and record conversations like, so and so said this was the reply, this is what I need to say when somebody says that to me, so that I could figure out how to talk. When I'm writing dialogue, I will talk it out loud in my different characters' voices.
I think I have to rename the show. It's going to become the Creativity Spark Workshop. What do you think?
There you
Isn't that
go.
what we're doing? Aren't we, aren't
Yeah.
we,
Yeah.
aren't we workshopping ideas? This is
Yeah.
this is cool. This is why I like to have a panel. I used to do one-on-one interviews for years, and I love the exchange, the energy of just flowing ideas, and we don't have to agree with each other, and that makes for good conversation as well. JM, Jennifer, I'm going to, let's see now. I was going to read about you do your best work curled up on your recliner, cuddled underneath a blanket with a hot drink in your hand. But we've already talked about time of day and place. So let me go to this other one. You say, I write because it's who I am and how I've learned to make sense of thoughts and emotions that often defy comprehension. My process is deeply intuitive. I often write in long stints during the day when the kids are in school, husband's at work, and the house is quiet. I end the day, this is interesting, with shorter bursts of writing once everybody's asleep. Writing helps me manage the daily chaos and understand the world through my neurodivergent lens. It's more than a habit, it's a grounding rod when my life becomes too much. I hope you don't mind that I shared that one, Jennifer.
That's
I
fine.
think that's lovely. The idea that it's not just what am I writing that people might want to read and buy my books. It's this is a tool. This is a valuable way I manage my life through my writing about characters. So why don't you take us into that introspection a little bit, and then we'll see what the ladies say. We've got about 6 minutes left, so I want to make sure we end on this one. Go ahead, Jennifer.
Yeah, so it just kind of comes back to where, I couldn't dive into people's head and find out why they behaved the way they did. But I was very much stuck in my own head, trying to figure out my emotions, nobody to talk to. At the time, I didn't realize I had autism. Looking back, it made sense. but writing was that need for understanding, and then it became that outlet, and that it was a hobby and then a passion, and now I truly feel like it's my therapy. It allows me to escape from the chaos of life, to sort things out. If I'm feeling, confused about something, I can, like sometimes I have a hard time identifying the emotions that I'm feeling, but I can put them into words through fiction, and live them out in this setting that I can control. It's like, what do they call that? Lucid dreaming almost, where you are in control and you can have amazing adventures, understanding who you are, finding that sense of belonging, and escaping the chaos and or the boredom of life.
Boredom. Interesting word.
Mhm.
I think we have it and we don't talk about it a lot because we're trying to be very busy doing what we love to do, but I think we do have it. I have it too. Thank you. Let's go around the table briefly. TK, any thoughts about what Jennifer said about controlling through the characters, controlling the narrative through what you're writing? What do you think?
I think that you said it like all, like even as you were talking, I'm like, that's exactly what I was thinking. And that's exactly how it is. It really is therapeutic. You said all the words. I was like, she's taking all the words I was going to say. But, it is like, I feel like with my writing, it is a way to heal, like through some of the life traumas that I've been through, that I know other people have been through, and a way to deal with those things. And, like I always say, like sometimes I get closure that I may not have gotten in other instances in life. And I get that closure that I may not have gotten through my characters.
Very interesting. Really opened up a thread here. Unfortunately, we got 3 minutes left. Shamayne, talk. What do you think? Give me a minute here.
Yeah, just real quickly, I agree with the writing. I wasn't writing about characters. The character in my book, it's a memoir, so it was me. And telling my stories to myself and writing them out as I remembered them actually ended up being better therapy than going to the therapist. Because
Ah,
it released so much of what was inside of me. And yeah, I think writing those things out is definitely good is
it
therapy.
is. It is. And I belong to an online, I was going to say therapy group, a poetry group. And we get a prompt every Wednesday from the moderator. I've been doing this for about 4 years. Thank you, Jordan. We have 3 minutes left on his channel. And I've written about 800 poems because I'll write between 1 and 3 poems every Wednesday. But Jennifer knows this. In April and in November, 30-day months, we get a prompt a day. And I write usually between 3 and 5 poems every day for those months. And I've been doing this 23, 24, 25, and we're now in 2026. We just finished the April poem a day. It's called a challenge, and people from all over the world contribute. And a lot of them are very emotional poems, very emotional, very heartfelt about things that happened in their lives. I'm the class clown. I like to write the funny stuff. So anyway, and some people don't get my sense of humor, and I really don't care. I write. So let me read a couple of things to you all. I have a quote from Lucy Maud Montgomery. She wrote Anne of Green Gables, 1908, Canadian author, and she had a chapter. You're going to love this one. Chapter 19 is called A Concert, a Catastrophe, and a Confession. Is that a great alliterative way to, yeah, okay. And the words I like from this chapter are something just flashes into your mind. TK, this is for you. So exciting, and you must out with it. If you stop to think it over, you spoil it all.
Mhm.
Interesting. I think that's for
That's
all of us.
true.
And then one from Rapunzel. This is the 2010 3D computer animated musical adventure fantasy comedy film. And Mandy Moore starred as Rapunzel, and the movie was Tangled. Venture outside your comfort zone. The rewards are worth it. Don't you love that? As the Rolling Stone saying, you can't always get what you want, but if you try, sometimes you'll get what you need. There we go. Here is the little snippet I was going to read about your little ideas. David Byrne, the former frontman for the Talking Heads, was a guest on somebody named Stephen Johnson's podcast called How Ideas Happen. And he said, sometimes I have just the title of a song that comes to me, and I write it down and I go, expand on that. I think there's something there. And I have in my computer a whole lot of musical ideas that maybe have a melody, a nonsense word, awaiting words for the melody. But usually I need something to start with. It's hard to start from nothing. I accumulate these little, he calls them little beginnings. And when I come back, I have something to build on. TK, does that work for you? Same
Yeah,
idea?
absolutely. Yeah.
There you go. Okay, and I'm going to read you all. Jennifer, you've heard this before, but these ladies haven't. Here was my acrostic I did on July 24th, 2024. All my poems are dated. And the theme we got, the prompt was write a poem about night shift. So I wrote an acrostic. I love acrostic. So it's NIGHTSHIFT, and I will lean in as I read the first word of each line so you'll get the NIGHT. Here we go. And I dedicate this to all of you. Never quite really at rest. It's the life of a creative. Going, gripping, gyrating, growling, groaning, growing, highs and lows flowing on a mental Mobius strip. The days are the nights are the days again, shifting off and on, into and out of gear, hoping for unique brilliance even once. It's a calling, command, curse, roller coaster, finding eureka, euphoria amid frustration and fears. Thus is the life of the creative. I dedicate that to all of you. Okay. I like to thank you. I like to do that with this is so one of my favorites. In 2014, we're just about out of time. I closed the show with the top 10 tips for women. And this was 10 years before the movie. The first tip was aspire to be Barbie. Aspire to be Barbie. The biatch has everything. There you go. I did use a bad word. And here's the closing. And then we're going to go out with some music if I can find my music here. Okay. And here we go. Life is short. Break the rules. Forgive quickly. I'm still working. Kiss slowly, sure. Love truly, definitely. Laugh uncontrollably. Ladies, laugh with me for 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. Ah! I gotcha. And never, ever, ever regret anything that made you smile. Here we go. Work like you don't need the money. Dance like no one's watching. When I taught disco in a high school cafeteria on a table, they didn't give me a stage. Everybody watched. I never fell, but what legs I had. Sing like nobody's listening. Love like you've never been hurt. We all have. Let your heart regenerate. Would grow and open up again. Money talks, chocolate sings, and last but not least, I stole this line from somebody years ago. Thank you for turning me on. And let's go out with we're going to go out with the Say What music. This is from my morning show, okay? You can hear something different.
Good news.
Stick around, ladies. We'll talk.
Say what?
Here we go. I'll tell you how I get my music. Morning coffee. Make it decaf, please. I don't need the caffeine. I guess you know why. Had enough. Same old drama. Same old feed. That dial. What I need. Let those bad vibes fade. Get those headlines out of here. Hit play. Say what? Good news. We talk it out. We lift the mood. Good people doing what they do. Ladies, you're all great. Let's